All right, so the ESPN First Take crew, led by Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, did a segment on who they like coming out of the Western Conference. I'm going to let them talk about it and I'll chime in.
Are you more confident in the Warriors or the Suns out west?
Before they say anything, I'll just say this. I'm more confident in the Golden State Warriors coming out of the Western Conference for the simple fact that we haven't seen how good they are going to be when fully healthy. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing because they haven't had a chance to fully gel and fully get their chemistry all the way there. But I think it's a good thing because they have a trick up their sleeve. They have an extra gear that they could get up to. And that's a problem that the Warriors have had in the past. The Warriors haven't been able to turn it up a notch. They've been a team that wins games playing a certain style in the regular season, and then when the postseason comes, they continue to play that same way. They don't really turn it up a notch. They don't have anywhere to raise their game from because they play that same system and they give that same effort and they play that same style year in and year out throughout the season. So I think the addition of James Wiseman and Klay Thompson being back and him starting to catch his rhythm, and when Draymond comes back, when all those guys are in and the roster is fully intact, we'll see how the rotation looks, who Steve Kerr is going to cut minutes from, who Steve Kerr is going to play more. Steve Kerr during the regular season usually tweaks around with the lineups and gives everybody a shot. So I'm interested to see who gets minutes, who from the bottom end of the bench is going to still get playing time. Is Damian Lee going to be one of the guys that he trusts and he gives minutes to? I would hope not. It might be Kuminga. Maybe he gives Juan a shot because Juan plays that Warrior style of basketball. We'll see. But I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm interested to see how Wiseman looks with the Warriors this season, if he gets a chance to play before the postseason starts, because Wiseman looked very lost with the Warriors in his rookie year. Him and Steph had a terrible net rating when they were on the court together. They don't gel well. Wiseman isn't the ideal big man that you would want in the Warrior system. He's going to have to learn how to play in the Warrior system. He's a guy that he wants to get into the post and he wants to score on the perimeter, but he just doesn't know yet when to pass and when to cut, and he just doesn't fit in with what they have going on in Golden State. So I'm interested to see if he's watched enough film and he's studied enough and been around the guys enough in practice to know what to do now, or if that just doesn't gel with his game. We got to see how that turns out. We got to see how Draymond looks coming off this injury. We got to see how Klay continues to look coming off his injury. Klay looks fine, though. And we got to see if the Warriors are going to make any moves or what's going to go on and how Steve Kerr is going to work that rotation. So, very interested to see what goes on with the Warriors. But with all that being said, I still have to give them a slight edge because the Warriors are the Warriors, and they do have those guys that have been there before. They do have that championship pedigree, a lot of it. And Steve Kerr, quiet as kept. I give Steve Kerr a lot of flack, but Steve Kerr might be the best coach in the NBA right now. He might be. I'll take that back. I'll still say Ty Lue is the best coach in the NBA, but Steve Kerr is right up there. What Steve Kerr has done this year, with all the stuff that they've had going on, with all the noise, with the guys being in and out the rotation, with Steph having kind of what we would call a down year, he's made a lot of things work. He's proven, even last season, he proved that he could get guys that aren't even quite NBA talent. Guys like Juan and guys like Kent Bazemore, or guys like Damian Lee, guys who you don't really think of having like an abundant amount of talent per se or a huge bag, but they can fit into the system and they can make the right reads, and he gets them playing a winning brand of basketball. So a lot of credit to Steve Kerr. I will say this though. The safe bet is the Suns, because the Suns play good basketball, point blank period. They play good basketball. My problem with this team is I don't think that they're a great NBA team. I don't think that they're a great team. I just don't. I don't think that they're like an all-time or like a real big threat. They don't really scare you too much, you know? but they're a really good team. They're really good. They're not great, but they're really good. Their backcourt with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, it's one of the best in the league. And in the front court, they have length, they have shooting, they have guys that play their spots well. Guys come off the bench and they know their role. Monty Williams has those guys ready to roll, but they're just not great. They're getting the most out of the guys that are on the roster, and they have everybody buying in. I'll say that about Phoenix. And if everybody in the West plays according to how they've been playing so far, I would say that the Suns come out of the West because the Suns have shown that they're the most connected right now. They are the most connected team. And chemistry and being connected matters. It's the most important thing in basketball. But I still just, maybe I'm wrong for it, but I just have to give that nudge to the Warriors because when it matters most, they have that big three that been there, done that. And I just like my chances with them against the Suns. We know how much of a choker Chris Paul is.
Molly, this a hard one. You know what? You can't go wrong with either one. I think this is going to be the Western Conference Finals matchup. But I'm happy.
I would love to see a Western Conference Finals matchup between these two. That would be one for the ages.
Get an edge to the Phoenix Suns. They represented the West last year. Those young guys know what it takes to go through the highs and lows. And look, we understand Devin Booker could go out there and give you a 50-piece wing dinner, Cajun rub. We understand right.
Kendrick, Big Perk getting a little hungry over there. But I'm not mad at the pick. I'm not mad at that. Like I said, I listed off a bunch of reasons as to why the Suns aren't a bad pick either, man. I get it. They just went on a finals run, so their guys got some of that experience too. They don't have championship experience. They didn't win it, but hey, they've been to the game.
Now, still today, when it comes to the fourth quarter, Chris Paul is the best closer in the game. We understand that DeAndre Ayton is doing his thing. JaVale McGee is still one of the most athletic bigs in the game today, rim protecting the basket. You got a rough rider in Jay Crowder. But look, this guy, Mikhail Bridges, is something special. We
Top 5 defender in the NBA, Mikhail Bridges.
knew him from his defense, but with how he's improved offensively and the way that he's taking major steps on that end, I think it makes Phoenix even more dangerous. And defensively, he could guard anybody in the league. I mean, the brother arm so long, he can stand up and put his shoes on in time. That's
He's built perfectly to play defense in the modern NBA where you need a switch. He can virtually guard 1 through 3 perfectly in the NBA. He can guard some 4s too because the game's gotten so small and because teams are going small at every position sometimes, especially power forward. Power forward is kind of the position in small ball that kind of gets killed because you might go with a 5 but still have 4 perimeter players on the court. So, yeah, 1 through 3 for sure. Even 1 through 4 in this NBA, Mikhail Bridges is locking up.
how long his arms are. But I have to give the slight edge to the Phoenix Suns. No disrespect to the Warriors.
Well, I got to get on you about
Not mad at it. Once again, not mad at it.
a couple of things. First of all, I don't understand how you can pick
Go ahead.
Phoenix considering the amount of coyotes out there. You'll never know when you run into one of those. That's number one. Number two, I don't.
Stephen A just be saying shit nowadays, bro. Stephen A be talking about stuff that got nothing to do with the game. He just says the most randomest shit.
Understand how you so high on Phoenix when I saw you doing Sports Center hits out in the sun, looking like you were being baked alive for crying out loud. I was worried about you with all them damn Sports Center hits.
That was a nice live shot.
That brother was out there. I was like, damn, put some shade over him or something. That brother was out there in 110-degree heat doing Sports Center hits. That's what Big Perk was doing. I was worried about his health. I understand why you so high on Phoenix. And by the way, I'll say
They had Big Perk cooking out there.
this about Mikhail Bridges. You're absolutely right about him. I got him right now as my most improved player in the NBA. Mikhail Bridges is special. And I'll tell you something else, KP.
Yeah, I like that. I would have to think about it because there's some guys that are really, really stepping up their game this year. I mean, Ja Morant, I don't know how much his stats have gone up, but what he's done for the Grizzlies this year, and how much better he's gotten just off the eye test, he's got to be in that conversation. There's a lot of guys when you talk about most improved player of the year. Mikhail Bridges having a great season. I don't know. Most improved player of the year is tough. There's a lot of guys who improved this season. But I'm not mad at that.
The Sixers like to talk about the process. You know they did have him and traded away those rights. They could have had Mikhail Bridges. Let's not forget that about the Sixers. But we'll get into that another day. I'm still rolling with the Warriors. You see Klay Thompson last night? Did you see him? Did you see him, KP? Did you see 7 for 9 from three-point range? Did you see him? Did you see him? He's coming. He's coming, y'all. Klay Thompson might be back, but he ain't all the way back.
Klay Thompson's shot looks good, but we all knew that. We all knew Klay was going to come back shooting well. What I need to see from Klay is Klay going to be able to get in that chair and defend the other team's point guard or the other team's combo guard, their lead guard, like he used to? I mean, Klay used to really sit in that chair and stick with Kyrie for an entire game. Stick with Russell Westbrook for an entire game. Stick with James Harden for an entire game. Is Klay going to be able to do that? I'm not even asking for an entire game, but in spurts, is Klay going to be able to guard the other team's best player? I got to be able to see him move like that. I got to be able to see him move a little better off of screens, continue to see him move, cutting around. It's still early. I don't want to. He had a great game the other night, and his shot has looked well, but I don't want to jump yet.
He's coming. Whatever you're seeing now is getting better and better and better. We're shooting 35% from the field. Now it's up to 42. We're shooting about 34% from three. Now it's up to nearly 38%. Just climbing. Was averaging 11, then 13, then 15. Now it's up to 16.8. Klay's coming. Steph is already here. Kevin Porter knows that. Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, the Warriors are peaking at the right time. They're starting to peak a little bit. Steph had a big slump, an all-time slump, and probably the worst shooting slump of his career. But he's starting to get back right, and Klay Thompson's feeling better and better each game. Draymond will eventually be back. Wiseman will eventually be back. So the Warriors are peaking at the right time. It's better that they're getting stuff together going into the playoffs than earlier in the season. Things are together and then they fall apart. So the Warriors are peaking at the right time. Stephen A. is right about that. I just have to see what it looks like once all the guys come together. And I don't think that it's going to be a problem because these guys, for the most part, have played with each other before. And Steve Kerr is going to run this same offense and just put the different pieces in different places. But it's going to be the same system. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal. That's why I'm still going with the Warriors as well. But we have to see it. We have to see it play out first, these guys actually have to play with each other first before we just jump to conclusions. But, yeah, I still lean Warriors.
You knows that better than most. He woke up the babyface assassin the other night. Draymond Green's coming back. Andrew Wiggins is an all-star. He's there averaging 18 a game. Jordan Poole's no scrub. Toscano Anderson and Peyton Jr. and those boys. And oh, by the way,
if Jordan Poole can buy in coming off the bench and he can do it at a really high clip, like if he could be the Warriors version of Jordan Clarkson and he can do that in the playoffs this year, the Warriors should win the NBA championship. If Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are doing what they do in the backcourt, Draymond's doing what he does at power forward or at the small ball five, and you have Wiggins at the wing with the Warrior role players, with Iguodala, with Steve Kerr coaching him, and you have a Jordan Poole who's playing like at a Jordan Clarkson level or better coming off the bench. He's still keeping that productivity up there and he's being consistent with it. The Warriors should win the NBA championship. The only team that would get in their way, honestly, would be the Milwaukee Bucks. If the Bucks get to the finals and face them, that would be the only challenge because Giannis is just a tank and Draymond's a body and Looney might be a body, but these guys are just too small for Giannis. Giannis is huge. Warriors don't really have enough bigs for that. Even with Wiseman, you try to throw Wiseman at Giannis, it's not going to work.
Eventually, James Wiseman's going to come back to help out Looney. I'm just looking at them. I'm looking at the elite manner in which they defend. I'm also looking at their movement without the basketball because you see, a lot of these times you marvel at Don't you know to defend these guys? Don't you know to get in their face? And then all of a sudden you see the picks, you see the screens, you see the movement of the basketball, the selflessness. And I'm saying this team is special. I'm not taking anything away from Phoenix. I agree with you, KP. It'll come down to Phoenix and the Warriors. I'm just saying right now, to me, I'm giving the edge to the Warriors. I think the Warriors are right where they want to be.
Hey, big credit, big kudos to Steve Kerr, because he has these guys buying into the system and he has these guys playing the right way. Gary Payton, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Lee, Bielita, the list goes on and on. These guys all know when to get Steph the ball. These guys all know when to get Clay the ball. Nobody does it better than Draymond does, but these guys know their role. Kavon Looney's been great for them this season. Kavon Looney is really built perfectly to get offensive rebounds. I was having this discussion the other day with a brother of mine. Kavon Looney at 6'9", he's not too big where he's just stuck in the paint. He's a little bit more mobile and he can move around a little bit. And he's kind of quirky and has a little bit of awkwardness to him with his coordination, where he kind of is just like, I don't know, he kind of can seep in and get to little gaps in the paint. And he has those really broad shoulders, a good nose for the ball. He's just kind of built to get offensive rebounds specifically. Rebounds, he's built to get rebounds, but specifically offensive rebounds. He has a good body for getting to those balls. Kind of like P.J. Tucker, but I'd say even better than P.J. Tucker with the offensive rebounds. Kavon Looney is really good at that, and he's good at setting screens. He does exactly what the Warriors want from him. Because I've seen Kavon Looney shoot before, and he can make mid-range jumpers, and occasionally he can make an open three. But they just don't ask him to do so, and he plays his part. He's been real big for them. I believe he's the only player on the team that's played every game this year.
And you know what? I'm not even mad at you. I think that series will go 7 games. But look, here's the thing. Phoenix is one of the...
A Game 7 in Phoenix would be crazy. Warriors at Phoenix, Game 7, that would be crazy. We know Chris Paul is going to choke. Steph is liable to have a so-so game. Devin Booker might go off. Clay might go off. Oh, that would be a crazy game.
Those teams, the only few teams that are disciplined. So they practice their habits in the regular season so that it carries on to the postseason. So that's why when you see all that movement with the Golden State Warriors, see the Phoenix Suns, they prepare themselves for that type of stuff. They tied on the string defensively. But let me tell you this, Stephen A. You screaming about Wiseman, but
the Suns are built pretty well to stop the Warriors. You put Mikhail Bridges on Steph Curry. You put Chris Paul on Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's not going to post him up. He's going to spot up. You put Devin Booker on Andrew Wiggins. And Devin Booker's been buying in on the defensive end. You put Jay Crowder. Wow, you have Jay Crowder too. You could put, oh my God, you could put Jay Crowder on Wiggins, and you can put Devin Booker on Draymond and just let him roam, be free safety. And then you have DeAndre Ayton on Looney. Yeah, there's a lot that the Suns can do. The Suns can rotate defenders, give guys a break, have somebody take a rest and guard Draymond or guard Looney. There's a lot of different bodies that they can throw at Steph, Wiggins, and Clay, and Jordan Poole. There's a lot of different bodies that they can throw. They picked up Alfred Payton, who is really, really nasty on the offensive end. I watched Alfred Payton the other night on TNT. This dude airballed the first free throw and shot the second free throw short. Got nothing but the front rim. Nasty. That's a point guard. But defensively, he locks up. So they have a lot of bodies they can throw. They run a lot of interesting schemes. Sometimes they drop in the zone. Yeah, that'll be tough for the Warriors. A Game 7 in Phoenix. Any road games in Phoenix in a playoff series versus them, with the way their crowd gets into it and with the defense that they could put on the Warriors, that would be tough. They do match up very well. I would just, like Like I said earlier, I would just have to give the nod to the Warriors, though, to figure something out, though. Eventually figure something out.
The Golden State Warriors got a decision to make. Because the way that brother Kuminga been playing over there,
I love him.
the way that he's been a lob threat at the basket, when Wiseman get back, he's going to have to earn those minutes because
Kuminga has a lot of potential. Kuminga has a lot of potential. That's a dude who's very explosive, off the spin move, attacking the basket. His shot, it looks nasty, but it's starting to drop. He's starting to get more confidence. He moves so well. You know, they were giving him player comparisons to Jaylen Brown in the draft. And I don't take this the wrong way. I'm not comparing him to Giannis, but just kind of like in his physique and how he moves a little bit as a guy who's like a 4 or a 3. He kind of is like a tweener between like Jaylen Brown athleticism as a 2 guard and Giannis athleticism as a big. He's kind of a tweener in between that. You know, where you see him, if this was back in the day, he'd be like a super explosive 3. But in this modern NBA, he's definitely a 4. And he's just a beast, dude. He's a beast. He's relentless. I like him a lot. They're going to have to keep working with him on his shot. And he's another guy just like Wiseman who he needs to learn the flow of the offense and when to get the ball to where, what spots, when to find Steph, when to find Clay, when to attack and do it yourself. But he's really young, and he's going to figure it out. He definitely has a bright future ahead of himself in this league.
right now you cannot just sit Kuminga down. Kuminga, that kid is special. So you have no real debate out of me with this.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
Well, we got to move.
Yeah, it's tough to really debate this because you could pick either side, and you know there's nothing wrong with it.
Go to the East
Next up,
Coast.
and by the way, you were wrong Christmas Day. I told you that Christmas Day, but we'll get into that another time.
What was he wrong about?
I picked the Warriors over Phoenix.
That was-
Big Phoenix.
Oh, a dead clock
that was
strikes
two-
twice a
that was
day.
2 months ago.
You want to take your victory lap over your Christmas pick?
Yo, Molly be talking so much shit. I want to see these guys give Molly some shit. I want to see how Molly's going to take that. But anyway, Warriors, Suns, they look like the 2 best teams in the West. Memphis has a shot. Denver, when they get all their guys healthy, have a shot. If the Clippers can get all their guys back healthy, you never know, they'd have a shot. Of course, the Lakers are always going to have a shot because the refs are going to give them a chance. Adam Silver is going to give them a chance. You know, the West is a little bit more up for grabs than it has been in previous years. But I think you're still going to have to go through Golden State. When in doubt, you're still going to have to go through Golden State to win the West. And Phoenix has put up a great roster and has assembled a really, really strong lineup that can go against the Warriors. But we'll just have to see, you know. Western Conference Finals, Warriors, Suns, that would be very, very entertaining. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Peace.